When a little-known jihadist militant group swept across western Iraq and eastern Syria in 2015, it was a rude awakening for the rest of the world. From our television screens, we watched on in horror as a lightning-fast assault saw the cities fall under a disturbing black banner, which we now recognize as the flag of the most barbaric terror group on the planet, the so-called Islamic State. Declaring a caliphate, the hardline Salafi group imposed its strict interpretation of Sharia law over an estimated 8 million people. However, a lot has changed in 4 years. Within days, they are tipped to be wiped off the map almost entirely as Kurdish fighters, backed by the US, bear down on the ailing jihadi army in their final bastion of territories in eastern Syria. In a tweet last month announcing the withdrawal of troops from Syria, US President Donald Trump seemingly prematurely wrote that ISIS was no more in Syria. "We have defeated ISIS in Syria. My only reason for being there during the Trump presidency," he wrote, announcing US troops in the region would be heading home. However, Australian National University terrorism expert Professor Clive Williams said the threat of ISIS is far from over. In fact, they still maintain a worrying amount of fighters, despite losing the territory it won in 2015. "From the assessments I've seen, there's probably about 14,500 fighters left in Syria and about 16,500 left in Iraq, so they are still a substantial force," he told news.com.au. He said they may be scattered, but the guerrilla warfare techniques used by ISIS mean they can still conduct sickening attacks, such as the suicide bombing attack in Manbij, northern Syria, this week, which killed 20 people, including 5 US troops. It was the deadliest attack against US forces since they were first deployed to Syria 4 years ago. "All that needs is one suicide bomber and they can do that sort of thing indefinitely," said Professor Williams. He says ISIS is now playing the long game by trying to win over or intimidate tribal groups in Iraq who have reservations about the country's Shiite government because of their Sunni Islamic beliefs, which differs in its understanding religious leadership. ISIS believes it represents a pure form of Sunni teachings, and Professor Williams says there is a danger the terror group could persuade or intimidate tribal groups to reassert its power in the region. Professor Williams says other danger ISIS poses is through its expansion and success overseas to areas such as Africa and Afghanistan, as well as its online propaganda presence. Their presence varies in different places. In Western countries like Australia, it's more sympathizers and perhaps a few people who are activists, but in places like Libya they actually have groups which are conducting an insurgency, he said. The situation has changed in Syria and Iraq. The government is stronger in Iraq, the Kurds are much stronger than they were, the Syrian Assad government is stronger and it has Russian and Iranian backing, so it's got a long way to come back. However, the danger is that they could establish a caliphate elsewhere. For example, they are looking to establish one in Afghanistan. There is also a glaring milestone which hasn't been reached in the battle against ISIS, and that's the fact that the group's enigmatic leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has still not been killed. Another cause for concern in the Middle East is the rise of a new jihadist group which has ripped through northwest, in the province of Idlib, which was once home to 2.5 million people. They call themselves Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which can be abbreviated to HTS, and they claim to have 25,000 fighters, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. They also claim to have recently broken ranks with al-Qaeda, the infamous Sunni Islamist terror group founded by Osama bin Laden, which plotted the 9/11 suicide attacks. However, HTS formed as a merger between several Salafist jihadist groups, including the Al-Nusra Front, which was also known as Al-Qaeda in Syria, in 2017, and experts have slapped supposed renunciation down as a PR stunt. Not long after the sickening suicide bomb attack in Manbij on Wednesday, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence repeated claims of the Islamic State's defeat. Speaking at the State Department, Pence said the caliphate has crumbled, and the militant network has been defeated. Later in the day he released a statement condemning the attack but affirming the withdrawal plan, as we begin to bring our troops home. The American people can be assured, for the sake of our soldiers, their families, and our nation, we will never allow the remnants of ISIS to re-establish their evil and murderous caliphate. Not now, not ever, he said.